Alright YouTube, what is going on? It's Hightower5000 here today, bringing you a video on Advanced Warfare, talking about the brand new update which has just been released on December 4th across all consoles. In this video what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about the major things in the update. The update is around 500 megabytes for me on PlayStation anyway, and it's absolutely huge. It includes a large array of stuff, from emblem updates to in-game updates, to do with small reloading stuff, sites, and one or two map things. It's also got clan updates and challenge updates, weapon balancing, which is the big thing and the primary thing I will be talking about in this video. Some score streak updates as well, which is nice to see. Then it's got some broadcaster stuff, some esports and rank play updates as well, which we did hear about from MLG Columbus. Game mode specific updates to do with search and destroy, capture the flag, uplink, hardpoint, and momentum. And then there's also one map specific update and some exo survival stuff as well. So as I said, I want to talk about the main thing for this video, which is weapon balancing. Weapon balancing has been something that hasn't been amazing in Advanced Warfare. So on launch I think it was quite evident to most people anyway that the Bal-27 was the most powerful gun in the game. Hands down, it had very low recoil, meaning it was very accurate, and it had a good amount of power. And for a gun to have two things like that really good, that makes it a real winner. So it meant that people were primarily using the Bal-27 like I was myself, and in a sense you didn't really have to use any other gun because the Bal-27 was winning at close range, which sort of made shotguns and SMGs sort of immune. It was winning at long range, which meant snipers weren't really needed at long range because it was that accurate. So it could mean that you could just use this one gun every single map and near enough every single situation, which it really shouldn't be like that. So they have changed this, and I really think it did needed to get changed. Quite a few people have been calling for it in recent times now, because this game is sort of a dominant game with the Bal-27 being used primarily. So what they've done to the Bal-27 is they have reduced the damage, which that is one thing that, to be honest, I wasn't actually overly expecting them to reduce the damage, because I think the damage is okay for assault rifle. An assault rifle is going to be a powerful weapon, but the max range has been decreased and the recoil has been adjusted, meaning I think they've actually added to the recoil, so this is making it less accurate. And I think this assault rifle anyway, the Bal-27, was way too accurate, and the problem was there was no balance with the gun. It was really powerful and really accurate. You either have one good and sort of one bad, or both in the middle, but you can't have them both at the top of their tiers. So it looks like it sort of brought them down from very high up, both down to sort of medium tier, so it's got a wee bit reduced damage now, and it's also got a wee bit reduced accuracy, and hopefully that'll make the gun a wee bit more balanced. Now I've actually jumped on and played some of this update. Some of the gameplay you're seeing in the background is actually from the update, and I was using the Bal-27 because, as I said, the Bal-27 is my favourite weapon. Just trying it out, just seeing if there's any significant difference. And there isn't too much of a significant difference. One thing I do feel though is that with the suppressor it is a wee bit weaker, so I can actually see the reduced damage in there already. However, because I've got grip and stock on the weapon, I'm not really feeling much of the range decrease or the recoil increase. So I'm not at all sure if the gun would be bare, it would actually be really impossible to control, or it's just because I have these attachments on. But for me actually, the range and the recoil is actually fine. Anyway, so moving on to some other weapons as well. The HBR A3, which is also a very popular assault rifle, the maximum range has been decreased. That weapon was also quite accurate if you put a grip and a stock on it. One of my favourites as well. Works really well with grip, stock, red dot, suppressor, them sort of attachments. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays. And moving on to the SMGs, and this is one thing that I've actually wanted to see be buffed, because the SMGs were just too weak. There was no need to use them, as T. Martin said. There was no real need to use them in the game because assault rifles were actually doing good enough at close range that there's no need to use them. So the ASM-1, which has to be my favourite SMG prior to the patch actually, I found that gun was quite good, or the best in the SMG category anyway. However, it did have quite a bit of recoil and damage wasn't overly strong, but what they have done is they have increased the damage, so that is a good thing. I wouldn't be expecting them to make submachine guns very accurate anyway, because that's not their purpose. Their purpose is to be up close and right in the face of enemies. But it's nice to see that they have increased the max damage, so it means hopefully that SMGs can actually win gunfights up close. The same thing has been done to the MP11. The max damage range has been increased. I've never really been a fan of the MP11 just because I thought it was too weak, but now I might try it out just because the max damage has been increased. Same with the EM1, which is actually a heavy weapon. I've not used heavy weapons at all in this game just because I felt there's no need for them, but because there's no ammunition and it sort of regenerates bullets, though the gun can only overheat, and because the EM1 is actually the best heavy weapon in the game, I've already seen it being used tonight, and I've only played about 4 or 5 games, and I reckon this gun will start to get used quite a bit more. There's also some other weapons, the EPM3, which has also had an increased damage, the XMG, which has had an increased damage, the AMLI has had an increased damage, and also has the Baitika, So quite a lot of adjustments to guns overall. I'll be interested to see how they play out. Obviously, because it's first day and I've only played a few games, I can't really actually tell you how the guns are playing, but I think over the next few weeks anyway we'll find out if the Bal is still the most dominant gun in the game. Not too much more to say actually about the update. Those are the main things. I think the gun improvements were needed. There are one or two things that they have changed though that I will mention, is that they have updated the spawns in certain maps and in certain game modes, which I feel was needed, because in free-for-all, for example, I was finding myself being spawned very close to enemies and sometimes luckily getting a kill or dying very quickly. In uplink, one important thing is that there's been a added distance limitation to passing the satellite drone, which means that you can only throw the ball a certain distance now. They've also in uplink and a hardpoint changed spawns a bit so they're less predictable. And that's about the main points for this update. As I said, if you want to check out the link in the description below, that'll basically take you to the forum where all the updates are listed. You can read through them yourself. There's a lot of competitive stuff which I've not gone through, however I've not actually really delved into the competitive game mode yet, so I couldn't really talk about the stuff that is being changed, and I believe that is all for this video, guys. So tell me if you're feeling a difference on any of the weapons, the maps, the spawns, the game types that they have altered with in this update. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm out. Adios.